You're listening to the Chartographers.
You are listening to the Chartographers, and it's that music-loving podcast for the musingest, lovingest of people, where we take every single album by a particular artist and we rank it worst to best and forget the rest. But guys, guess the fuck what is going on. Let me tell you what's going on, okay? Today is special. Today is unique. Today, believe it or not, is the Season 1 finale of the Chartographers. And you might be thinking, Evan, Taran,
Stop, don't. I'm cutting you off. You can say all that.
It wasn't even me this time. I was letting him go even when he said the word musingist.
Anyway, but some of you might be wondering, like, hey, wait, you guys can't have a season-ending thing. Well, A, we can kind of do whatever we want, but also, here's the
It's
thing.
our fucking podcast.
A, that too. But more importantly, it's one of the things where, like, we've had so many guests on this podcast ever since we launched it, and it took off, and it's been an amazing journey. We've had so many guests, and so many artists, and so many moments that were like, you know, we kind of want to do, like, a recap, and just kind of, like, go over our favorite moments and parts. Let's do it after every 10 episodes. And Taran and I realized that, by the time we had that idea, it was the 11th episode. Like, let's do it every 15 episodes. So basically, this season 1, we're gonna have season finales and openings. It's structure, and also we get to decide if we're gonna blow things up for the finale, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're going in on it. We are gonna do one of the biggest, and I would argue probably one of the most influential artists that we've had since the Beatles. Honestly, legit, real. We're gonna talk about the one, the only, that artist that you get when you leave your purple dildo out in the sun and it melts all over your Stevie Wonder LPs. That's right, guys. We are talking about Prince. Oh, Prince!
Okay.
Or the artist formerly known as Prince.
You saved it, man. You totally saved it.
Mr. Nelson, if you're nasty. Anywho, guys, we are going to go ahead. We're going to talk about his purple ones, his greatness. So we're going to dive into all of it. And more importantly, we're going to talk about a very specific era of Prince, because Prince has put out, what, 33... 37 studio albums.
36 now.
Some bullshit like that. So, and guess what, guys? As much as I want to do, like, welcome to part 7. No, we're going to do 2 parts. We're going to do a straight up, and we're going to do Prince in the 80s. And by 80s, I mean 1978 to 1990, because, like, let's do the 80s and forget his first 2 albums. Like, come on, let's be real. Let's be reasonable about this.
That seemed silly.
That really did. So, in order to accomplish the unaccomplishable, we decided to basically put together our own revolution, our own new power generation. I'm the Tony M, clearly. Guys, right here, of course, there's me, Evan Sadi. I am the host of this podcast. You might know me also as an editor of PopMatters, but clearly, if you're listening, you know that I'm here, and you also know that, guess what? Taran O'Reilly is here, co-creator of this podcast.
Woo!
Taran!
What?
I know. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm really excited to do this.
Oh, I'm excited.
I'm thrilled that we're finally at this point. You've been talking about it, like, since we had the idea.
Well, and that too, because it's also like, I mean, we'll get into this more. Prince died. It was really sad. We were actually determining whether or not he was alive when we recorded the first one. We think he may have just died just a little bit before we actually recorded the very first episode. It still made me very sad, and I don't think I properly mourned it. So if I cry during this podcast, that's what's going on. But in order to do this properly, we wanted to make sure this was done right and with the right people. And guys, we decided to bring him back. Y'all asked for it. He is a writer over at PopMatters. He is the band leader to the group Love and Fear. He was
Fear
over
and Love.
in the
Fear
and Love, whatever. You loved him on the Beck podcast. You loved him on the Kanye podcast. And by showing up here, he is now our most frequent guest on the Chartographers.
It's a threequel.
Jon Harvey.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I'm glad to be here for the one, the only, the most purple Prince Rogers Nelson.
Dearly beloved. Guys, I mean,
We gather today for this podcast.
Earlier today, I was like, all right, I'm gonna listen to Prince for a little bit now, and without even pressing play, multiple people in the room went, "Dearly beloved," and I was like, I mean, I wasn't gonna start with that one, but I guess I can now.
Sure, great. Well, guys, listen, and Prince in the 80s, you gotta keep in mind about Prince, his debut album came out in 1978 when he was 19 fucking years old. He played every instrument on it, And by the time he was 30, he wound up having an Oscar, having directed another film, and having one of the great best-selling albums of all time. So, hashtag life goals. But in order to do this properly, we need to talk about what we're talking about. We have 12 albums that we are going to be ranking from 1978 to 1990. That includes the prepubescent debut For You from 1978, the much more mature Prince from 1979, the kind of dirty bedroom bop of 1980's Dirty Mind, the somewhat less controversial Controversy from 1981, the dance jam Your Mama Loves 1999 from 1982, his lesser-known work Purple Rain from 1984, his psychedelic stomp of Around the World in a Day in 1985, the What the Fuck Is Going On in Parade in 1986, the life-changing double disc of Sign of the Times from 1987, also a nominee for Album of the Year at the Grammys, along with Purple Rain in 84, his Way Too Sexy But Not Really Love Sexy from 1988, his soundtrack to Batman called Batman 1989, and the sequel to Purple Rain, Graffiti Bridge in 1990. Did you know that Graffiti Bridge has the same number of tracks as Sign of the Times? Found that out when I was typing it out by hand earlier. That is a fun little nugget of information. So anyway, but here's the other thing, guys. In terms of qualifiers, there are some that may argue that Graffiti Bridge shouldn't be on here because it's the one soundtrack. Because you got to keep in mind Batman, Purple Rain, and also Parade. They're all technically soundtracks, but they're really more albums that inform and support whatever the movies that they're from.
Yeah.
Graffiti Bridge is a little bit different, though, because this is legit has other artists on it, like The Time, and George Clinton, and for some reason, Tevin Campbell. And basically, the question is, does it really count? And my gut instinct on this one is pretty definitive. This one absolutely
I think
counts.
we also settled on it because this song contains so many songs that were written prior to 1990. At least half of them come from either 1981 Controversy era. Some come from the Around the World period. A couple of them are Purple Rain leftovers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tracks that the majority was written during the prime of what we're talking about today.
And I think it's also, even all of the songs by other artists are written and produced by Prince.
Because he's Prince.
I think
Yeah, there's
literally it's just
one or
vocals
two co-writes, yeah.
that is not being performed by him on those various tracks. So I almost consider it like featured artists
on a Prince album,
Exactly.
basically. Yeah,
Exactly.
so I think it absolutely goes in. So guys, in that case, we have 12 Prince albums. Prince in the 80s. We're doing it. I can't believe it. And this is part 1 of the podcast, and since we're the Chartographers, you know what that means. It's time for that fateful question. Guys, what's the worst Prince album? Now, special guest Jon Harvey. You said you had one. We were talking about it a little before. You said you had one out the gate.
You know what? Because I'm going to be all political about it. Because I know nobody will agree with me on the last one.
Don't
Wait,
do
no,
it.
I want to hear what
You want me just going to go with it?
Yeah, just go with it. What do you think?
Fuck Parade.
For the record, that's the album Parade, not Fuck Parade. Which, by the way, if that was a Prince album, I would believe it.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't
love
even be surprised.
every album here, besides Love Sexy, is all I enjoy a whole lot. I just think Parade lacks almost everything that and I feel like most people go to a Prince album for. You'll find generally the energetic dance introduction. You have 1999 opens with 1999. Let's go crazy. Controversy. Do you mind? It always starts with a powerful opener. And Christopher Tracy's Parade is this. There's such a lack of groove. There's groove to most of these songs. It's not very danceable. I feel like it also lacks another trait that you'll find on there. You'll usually find the extended funk number, and there's no real extended funk number that you get with that. There are all these elements on there. You get the slow ballad, which I'll admit it's redeemed by Kiss and Sometimes It Snows in April, which are two incredibly strong songs. But the thing is that I feel like tracks like Venus de Milo, while pleasant, sounds more like a transition and does actually sound like a soundtrack that plays over some sad staring at the bridge moment.
So let me just throw a little bit of context, though, for people who don't necessarily know. Purple Rain was a massive fucking success. It's as Prince once described it, quote, an emotional autobiography. It's a really weird movie, but it was a huge success. Lots of millions of copies and #1 singles and Grammys and Oscars. But the thing is that, like, his follow-up to it, Around the World in a Day, was actually recorded before and conceived before Purple Rain. Like, he had already moved on to his next direction. So, as such, he hadn't really had a chance to technically respond to the success of Purple Rain. So, really, Parade makes a lot of sense when you think about, okay, this is Prince's second movie. This is his second movie, his first one he's directing. And he's really, while Purple Rain was kind of a concert film with occasional drama scenes in here, Parade is basically, he wrote this album specifically for a film. Like, and you can really feel that in cuts like fucking I Wonder You, the psychedelic weirdness that is. Life Can Be So Nice, this little waltz of, if I do, you know, like all these other weird fucking interludes that he fucking does. Do you lie?
And I also just feel like the music, and probably, because he was specifically writing it for a movie that is not about musicians. The first, 9 songs on this album are so bland, and that's not something that I can usually say about Prince, especially not in the 80s.
Well,
and as you know, and it's so weird because I also think that Kiss and For Me Another Lover, Hole in Your Head are like 2 of the greatest songs he's ever written, but they're like tacked at the end of just this completely it's an album that almost feels like devoid of inspiration, which is so odd for this time in his career.
And you know, Girls and Boys was a hit. I don't get it. I gotta be honest.
I don't.
It's very repetitious in a very annoying way.
Yeah.
I also feel like
Girls and Boys!
another thing that'll probably be coming up this podcast a ton is that nobody made mixes or mixed their albums quite like Prince. Like, every album is mixed so incredibly, specifically, and gives its own character. Where that usually to a plus, where to get that 80s kind of vibe. Whereas Parade, the way it's mixed, it sounds unpleasant to me. There's so much high, there's no low, and I feel like everything
that's a good point.
everything kind of exists in you got to get all engineered, exists in the same frequency space. And so it doesn't blend very well. And so you don't pick up the groove to that when when a lot of stuff is going on, it's kind of staticky to me.
Yeah, it's muddied. Yeah.
Except, weirdly enough, and the thing is that I really didn't know what we were going to pick for the worst album. I'm really okay with putting Parade down here. But here's the other thing I want to say about it, though. First off, Mountains is a fucking jam, okay? I love Mountains a whole lot. This weird kind of psychedelic, it feels loose. It feels it rumbles, it shimmies in a way that definitely other songs on this album do not do so. Not the stiff and repetitious Girls and Boys, which I fucking hate. But there's that, and also, of course, one of his masterpieces, Kiss. And we really, as much as we want to sink the Parade ship, fucking Kiss. Jesus Christ, that is one of the greatest songs.
Kiss is
ever.
is great, and even though it's I do, it's up there. Even though it's not one of my necessarily favorites in terms musically, I think even just lyrically, it's one of those ones that it's because Prince, he typically sings about a lot of the same stuff over that. But I don't know, it's such a perfectly written pop song, and it's really, it's so Prince, especially if you can compare it to some of his other stuff, the tracks off the self-titled album. It really is such a classic personable Prince number.
Yeah. But, of course, you also know the story about how that song came to be, right?
Yeah.
How Prince was a fucking asshole?
Let's go.
So there's this, I guess one of this side projects, some fucking group sent a
Maserati.
Yeah, Maserati. And by the way, for the record, Sufjan Stevens, the folk artist, he was also in a band called Maserati. Not the same Maserati, just FYI, they're 2 different bands. But Maserati never really made much of anything, and they're most famous for they did another song that was technically stolen from them, but Prince was like, I want you guys to succeed. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a song. And Paul McCartney, he gave songs to Badfinger, other artists do this from Group Sound to the label. I'm gonna give you a song, here you go. And he gives them this song, I want you to work on it, do what you can to it. And so this band worked on it, they had this kind of nice little groove going on, okay, and they move it up a little bit and add elements in and take elements out.
It's more country, it's kind of more folky-ish, a little bit more country, something the Joni Mitchell end of things. And they come back.
Prince loves Joni Mitchell, make no goddamn mistake.
And then he gives it to them and comes back, and it's this energized funk number, and everything is brought up, the tempo's brought up, a fat bass line on there, and then he's like, hey, that's a pretty good song, think I'm gonna keep this one, and
Takes it back.
and then added a bunch more of his own layers to it, although the drive of it is still mainly the Maserati.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Prince being an asshole, it's going to come up a lot. So guys, listen, if you're looking for the worst album from Prince in the 80s, I got no problem with putting the psychedelic mess that is Parade down in our number 12 slot. There it goes. Congratulations.
Man, I was hoping to start some controversy here. I was hoping like
Controversy.
That's why I was like, no, dude, just go with it.
Yeah,
because-
literally. Because, like, I don't have, like, a huge feeling towards it. Like, it's, again, I feel like, and I talked about this with the guys earlier, too, and they were just like, no, save it for the fucking podcast. We're like, I love Prince dearly. I love him, and he is a man, and we're going to get into this a lot, and the reason, again, why we're not doing 36 albums is because this is a man where quality control was an issue. And he put out a lot of fucking shit. But I generally love it, even if it sucks. It's like, oh, Prince, you're just being Prince. Like, you kind of forgive it there.
Yeah.
But the research week going into this, critically thinking about these albums, really kind of puts you at odds with, like, and I still might put on Parade just to be like, do I still feel the same way? And every time it's going to be like, yeah, I do still feel the same way. But, like, it's just an interesting little experiment. But, hey, that's number 12. Taran, what do you put at number 11?
Oh, this is so hard.
I know. I know.
And I also have
Controversial.
a very controversial
Very
choice.
controversial.
Well, no, okay.
Moderately
I
controversial.
think my controversial choice is going to be what's after this. But I think that first, I would be remiss if I did not nominate Love Sexy for number 11.
Okay.
I think that I Know is like a very fun opener, but I think that he's done that sound more effectively on earlier albums. Alphabet Street is sort of feels like a failed experiment to me, even though I know that he hates it when people say that about his songs because he makes it sound unfinished, but it does kind of sound, I don't know, I think he should have worked with that one a little more. And none of these songs connect with me. Like, I remember what they sound like vaguely. I actually kind of dig When Two Are in Love, interestingly.
Really?
I think I'm with you. I think I'm actually pretty into When Two Are in Love and I Wish You Heaven, but that's kind of where it ends.
That's kind
See,
of
I like Glam Slam. I'm throwing that out there.
You're gonna go with
Slam.
Glam Slam.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're gonna go with Glam Slam.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing.
That sounds
too.
like a breakfast jingle.
It does
like for
sound-
cereal.
It's exactly what it sounds like.
First off, if Prince had a cereal, I would fucking eat it.
It'd be probably be called Glam Slam too.
I think this is the album, like,
Breakfast can wait, Jon
before the era that we're not getting into. I think this is the album where he first, like, was just like, whatever, I'm Prince, and just let himself be really fucking hokey, a couple times on this album, and it's so.
So here, let's.
The other thing about it, what I feel about when listening to it though, is like, it's mostly kind of ignorable, and it has these weird moments where it's like it pops up, and you're like, yeah. And then you kind of lose it really quickly, and I felt this really like I felt this so much listening when I have to actually sit down because I never like had to like. I didn't listen with like that much in focus, so like I'd have like it's like a roller coaster, like Anesthesia, pretty boring for the first 2 minutes. You get towards the end, and there's like a lot of cool vocal techniques going on at the end.
Yeah, and honestly, the one revelation, because I never really gave this album a whole lot of consideration, was a Dance On, kind of this little like a little bit of a harsher of a dance tune that he has, like this heavy bass. Yeah.
Except that you can't fucking dance to it at all. I hate songs that have the word dance in the title, and then it has like jazz drum breaks every 2 measures. It has like a new drum fill, and everything drops out, and it's just a drum fill, and you can't dance to that. You can't. There's no consistent beat to keep with this song.
But here's the other thing, though. I feel like, and you got to keep in mind, this is also his first album after Sign of the Times. Now, Sign of the Times after Parade was kind of the album was more successful than the movie, which you can't say a lot about things aside from like Coyote Ugly. And the thing is that like that Sign of the Times, he got rid of the Revolution, he did it all himself. This double disc album, which some critics, I'm not spoiling any of our opinions, some critics have called the greatest album of his entire career. But the thing is that after that, he kind of like it was a big critical success. It actually had a song that went to number 2. Like, it was this weird lo-fi, but, brilliant album.
At
whatever.
the time, Robert Christgau said that it was the most unanimously chosen Paz and Ja poll they've ever gotten. It was a no question, and the next runner-up wasn't even close to Sign of the Times.
I think Robert Christgau, he said of Dirty Mind, and I'm pretty sure this is the right thing. I might be getting the album wrong, but I think he described Dirty Mind as, it looks like Mick Jagger can fold up his penis and walk away. That was how he described the album. Which is pretty incredible. But the thing is, so Lovesexy, it's weird because Lovesexy and honestly Batman in kind of a similar way, these are albums where Prince hits this middle-of-the-road kind of sound. Like, really Sign of the Times, I would argue, and some would say with Diamonds and Pearls, but really with Sign of the Times, especially this era, was the last time he really innovated. Lovesexy feels like kind of a congealed, here's what he thinks people would like out of Prince. Because it's not a risk-taking album.
No,
it's a
really
colorful
isn't.
album. It's a very colorful and kind of confident album. It's not necessarily great, but it kind of has,
For me, it feels like none of the songs fully accomplish what they set out to do.
I would agree
It
with
feels
that.
like he has great ideas, and he doesn't...
And they're very accessible
Because he
ideas.
definitely... this was certainly the period where he was, he'd sit down in the studio, he'd write a song in 20 minutes, he'd go from instrument to instrument and bang out all of the layers, and then it would be mastered by, dinner time. And he'd be like, there, that's the song. And so... during this period, there are definitely songs on here where I'm like, you should have, don't just say that you're right instantly, play with the song and pull out layers, and, that's part of what made, we'll get to it later, but that's part of what made When Doves Cry so brilliant, was because he made, rash decisions with the production.
Now, here's my only pushback on this being in our number 11 spot. The thing with Lovesexy, unlike a lot of his other albums, where even if they fail in some way, there's at least a masterpiece on there, or maybe a minor masterpiece, or something like that. I feel like Lovesexy, for just all its middle-of-the-roadness, doesn't have that. You maybe Alphabet Street, I don't know. But the thing for me is that you run into a difficult problem here, because the album that I would nominate at number 11 is this thing called Around the World in a Day. That's what I would throw on there. And the reason is that Around the World in a Day, which came, of course, after Purple Rain, again, pre-recorded and all that stuff, he's trying to do kind of psychedelic in his own terms kind of thing. He got fascinated with it, but still wanted to marry it to funk and rock and all these other things here. It's got some jams on here, but when I say it has some jams on here, I'm mainly referring to the title track, Around the World in a Day, which I think is very neglected, very fascinating. It has an incredible dance break, one of the best dance breaks he's ever done. And then also has the unmistaken pop fluff masterpiece that is Raspberry Beret. Fucking love Raspberry Beret. It's a song I want to fuck. But that's kind of where, that's what I think, because everything else on there, the blues-ish kind of Temptation, which kind of just meanders for a little bit and has a weird conversation with God, and him kind of being electroshocked by God at the end. Then also, the latter is fine, it's pseudo-gospel-y.
I like the... Honestly, I think you're totally underselling Around the World in a Day.
I think
because at least you can remember songs from Around the World in the Day. You can't remember anything. Lovesexy is so largely forgettable when it comes to that. I think Paisley Park is an incredible song, and
It's his Bowie moment.
And on top of that, I think also at the time why it gets so unfairly treated is because it is kind of in this weird way to simulate or emulate the Beatles, and the Middle Eastern influences is kind of you want to joke about oh, your Ravi Shankar phase. It kind of falls in line of that sort of criticism.
No, it does.
Where it does, but I think he totally lands. I love the fact that he has this weird jam that has no bass line, going back to When Doves Cry. It's such this cool, frolicking kind of melody when it goes through there. I love Paisley Park.
Yeah.
I and I also just love the weird kind of the flutters that come with a Condition of the Heart.
Condition of the Heart never did it for me in the same way. Tambourine, I will give you some credit.
I like it.
Tambourine is actually
I dig Tambourine.
And
it's not perfect, but it's got a little bit of amp. It's got a little bit of kind of sexiness and energy to it.
And Pop Life is one of my favorite Prince singles. I fucking love Pop Life. It's pretty.
Wow.
I think that bass line is also again a super strong Prince bass line, pretty classic. That kind of even goes back to his early '80s phase. It's and I just think that between that, I think with Love Sexy, the only two songs I think I enjoy are When Two Are in Love and I Wish You Heaven. And, like, you can ignore that, whereas I still say that at least Around the World in a Day is a lot stronger than all the filler tracks.
Well, I will say that Around the World in a Day has America, which just didn't need to exist.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
No one needed that in their lives. No. And so there's, I mean, but I do... Besides that, though, I agree with you. I would not put Around the World in a Day quite this low.
Dude, also, Pop Life has one of my favorite lyrics, like, what's that hole in your nose? That where your money goes.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, oh, what a great cocaine reference. He's got a lot of whole head references. Of course, not a lot of hole in your head, too.
Again, I mean, I always find
he
some
loves
of his...
the head holes.
I find some of his anti-drug messages kind of amusing, and they're kind of...
Oh my god. Well, can I briefly... And here's the thing. Let's go ahead and let's lock in Love Sexy at number 11. I'm okay with losing that vote. It's, again, these aren't like, I'm not dying on these hills, I assure you. But one album that we're not having on here is a thing called the Black Album. And the Black Album was initially supposed to come out in 1987, but while they were pressing this thing, this kind of like Return to the Roots...
It wasn't even while they were pressing it.
It was made.
It was like everything had been pressed, some copies got shipped out.
Yeah.
Like...
But basically this kind of thing, like Return to the Roots, kind of deep black funk kind of thing. He wound up having what was he on, LSD?
I think it was ecstasy.
Ecstasy,
which is a weird one to have a bad
trip to,
especially a God-oriented trip.
Well, he's
always on a God trip.
Exactly,
so.
But he, after taking this, he had a moment. He had a bad trip somehow on ecstasy, and somehow determined that the Black Album was evil and couldn't be released. And I believe he dubbed the spirit Spooky Electric. That is a thing that happens, and he references it in later songs, the evil spirit.
Doesn't Spooky Electric come back for Love Sexy? Even though he abandons it?
Well, I think he liked it as a concept, where it's just like, that's just the thing that he dubbed, this crazy evil demon thing. And of course, the demon that Prince can think of is called Spooky Electric. Like, come on, Annie Christian and, Dolores and all these other fucking names he has for fucking people. Anyway, yeah, that's totally fine, but hey, listen.
How dare you use the word Dolores?
I know, how dare you. What a fucking weird name, guys. He's a weird guy, let's just be honest. He lives in a purple house. But here's the thing, Taran. I know we just got your number 11, but you also just let loose that your number 10 would be Controversy.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not. It's definitely not Controversy.
Yeah. But it would be controversial.
Yeah, because, guys, I think I'm nominating 1999.
Whoa! Hey, yo, hey!
All right.
Slow down, man. So
Yeah,
why? I mean, you're wrong, but why 1999?
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, this is the snappiest I've seen Jon Harvey. This is a little bit of a...
He has really strong feelings about Prince.
Oh, yes, he does.
I do.
And I always knew that.
Exactly, but I mean, are you inhabited by Spooky Electric right now? Is that what's going on?
No, because
this podcast is evil.
I think that he does long extended funk jams right, and they can be really interesting, and on this album, for the most part, he doesn't change them enough, and they just get sloggy. Like, DMSR is just...
Oh, wait, DMSR?
For those who are not listening, Taran is getting the heaviest glare he's ever gotten in his entire life.
The title track
Jon Harvey's turning into a emoticon right now.
The time... I've
what
never
about the title
seen,
track?
I've
What
never
about the
seen,
title track?
The title track has not connected with
You could have talked shit about anything else, but you went for DMSR.
Of all the songs, listen, if you had a problem with Let's Pretend We're Married, maybe, okay? If you had a problem with basically the side B,
automatic something, sure, why not? But DMSR, Taran.
Dance music, sex,
I mean, Taran, it sums up everything that he's about in an acronym.
And everything that Jon Harvey's about.
Yeah, and then he just says that over and over again for like 11 minutes.
Because that's all you need.
It feels like
it's a 7-minute jam.
Also, I think that Delirious is one of the most annoying songs he's ever recorded.
I'll give you Delirious. I'm not a... Which is weird that Delirious was a single. I feel like
it wasn't a single. It was a hit too. It was one of his top 10 songs.
I think that becomes. I think Delirious is successful as like a hit single still in
Yes.
'82 because of
It's
how
dated.
new wave it is. Because of how new.
Exactly. Well, no. His most new wave album is Dirty Mind. Like, you listen to that shit,
Really?
it sounds like Blondie.
Well, I mean, it depends on what
Yeah.
type,
Era
what
of
section
new
or
age,
section
right.
of it.
I'm not talking about Cynthia. I'm talking about, like, original.
Because that's like 1999 to me is like the new wave album of
Basically.
Prince. Like
I mean, I agree,
Yeah.
and I think that's also probably part of my problem with it. Is I don't know. I just also up for one of the worst songs he ever recorded. All the Critics Love You in New York.
Yeah, that you can have that. That's
terrible.
Fine. That's fine.
And I just think I'm not into songs where he just throws a conversation in there, like over the jam.
Well,
like,
you don't.
I don't want to listen to that. And so, like, as much as there are, and that's I think that's the real thing here, is that you said this about Love Sexy, and it's more true for Love Sexy. But on 1999, there are a lot of songs where I'm like really enjoying a section, and then it just doesn't stop, and it keeps going. And I'm like, okay, well now I'm really bored
listen,
with
I
this
think
section.
for some of those like these talking points, because there's a lot of really good, like, in my opinion, I love like the weird things that he says. They're like lady cab driver when they get to that weird section where he's banging the cab driver, and he's like, and each thrust is dedicated to somebody.
Fucking hate that.
And he's like, this is one for
That,
my
like-
brother who's born handsome and tall.
Right, but it's funny, but it does not make me want to come back to the song.
However, though, the side A on this thing is fucking marvelous. Listen, I know you don't connect with 1999. 1999 is emblematic of Prince so much. It has apocalyptic imagery, but we're gonna dance all the way through. Listen, it is a pure vamp. It's not even a song. It is a vamp that he turned into a song. But when you have a vamp, what makes a good vamp is how you elaborate on it, how you imbue it with different sounds, different things. Like once they get to the mommy, why does everybody have a bomb? That's when it turns down to just a pure guitar. It's not the synths anymore. Like he just has all these different like rising actions and buildings to it.
It's also like it probably ties for like the most iconic 80s synth line ever, next to that it's like 1999 and that
Jump
Van
by Van
Halen,
Halen,
Jump by
yeah.
Van Halen are probably the two most iconic DX7 synthesizers.
That he ever did. But also Little Red Corvette. That is also as crazy a song as that is. Make no mistake.
That's a fucking great
Little
song.
red
There's a reason I wasn't mentioning it, but
Let's
I
pretend
don't-
we're married. I love.
I gotta defend DMSR a little bit more,
Oh, no,
because
I'm with
because
you
I feel
on
like in
that.
terms of the extended jam, like that's like one of the top ones. The way things come in and out, and it rides that Lin drum. They also this like that Lin drum beat throughout there, and just the way like when the guitar comes in and out, when to use the synthesizer. It's just so many like layers. Whereas some of the songs we're gonna be talking about later don't do that as successfully.
Right. But here's the one thing I will say, and I'm going to give Taran this. Two things on this album. One, as much as I say this side A is brilliant, and I stand by that, listen, the side B with Free, with all the critics, International Lover is fine, it's generic. But like the side B, he gets experimental, he gets weird, he gets crazy. It is a very clean break between A and B. I think he got better at experimenting later on, and even if you take shit like Love Sexy, that's at least listenable in a way that some parts of the B side of 1999 aren't. Also, the other thing I want to point out is that unlike his other albums, and with the synthline in Delirious, it's a great song. That synthline can be annoying, and I understand that. This is weirdly, of all his albums, the most dated sounding. Like, just that those synth lines don't age well. That Lin drum machine pushes through hard, as in it is the only thing that you hear on the album.
I think
too.
that's part of my issue with it too. Is that
It's a little bit monochromatic.
Is that the drums? His drum lines are usually so interesting.
Yeah.
And like, but it
Because you hear it on Purple Rain, but it's so much because he mixes that with live drumming and a whole bunch of other.
What's
different
weird is that, I mean, this is a personal opinion. I'm not gonna defend it hard because it's really contestable. But like, I find to a certain degree, 1999 is so dated. Like the production sounds so dated that it kind of almost 360s back to our throwback culture that we're in, and we're trying to bring back all these genres. And you have these bands like Blood Orange that are like trying to throw back to the 80s.
They like sound dated.
They're trying to say it's so dated. It's kind of come back to sound a little bit more okay to me because of how much other people now are trying to sound
right,
like
but
that.
here's the thing, even Prince couldn't do that, because remember in 2009 he did that Target triple disc album that he put out, or just added 3 more albums to his, well technically 2, because the other one was the Bria Valente album, Elixir. in which he described as, quote, Sade was taking too long to put out a new album, so I decided to do it. It's like, shut up, Prince. But one of the albums on there was called MPL Sound, which was basically, I'm going to use the Linn drum machine and kind of go back to my old sound. But he'd gotten so good with digital production and everything else like that, he could use the Linn drum machine. Those songs still don't sound like of the era. Like, it was like, I see what you're trying to do, it's not working. But, like, even he can't replicate that sound. So listen, 1999 is not going to be our number 1 album. I think we can all go with that, but it's also definitely not going to be our number 10.
We also, because we still got to talk about...
I fully accept that.
Yeah.
Batman?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Batman is very much, I would say, and this is a weird thing to say, and I'm not saying that I'm defending it necessarily, but Batman is basically a perfect continuation of Lovesexy.
Yeah.
Middle of the road, inoffensive Prince, as much as you possibly
I will
can.
say, for an album that's like kind of like the go-to punchline of that
Yeah.
discography, is really not as bad as like, especially once I finally get to experience, like, it's not as bad as people try to play it
I
out
like
to be.
really
Electric
not.
Chair. I really do.
I really like...
No, I do too.
I really love The Future, and I love Scandalous. I fucking love
Okay.
Scandalous.
Yeah.
I love The Future, and I was very impressed, not expecting much from this album titled Batman. When The Future was playing, I was like, oh, and then Electric Chair kept that momentum going. The Arms of Orion.
Oh my God.
Is awful.
Awful.
God awful.
Yeah,
But
there-
I actually really dig
Pardon
Vicky Waiting.
Yeah, Vicky Wait.
Vicky Waiting is like that's a pop hook.
This sounds
that
like-
he doesn't like hit that style of pop that often.
Well, what's weird about Vicky Waiting, and I'm not saying like I think that this other artist was that much of an influence, but it's like almost sounds kind of like a weird Harry Nilsson kind of thing going on there. Like it's like a really... It's kind of like like the way that melody is structured, and like you strip down to like those kind of guitars. Like it really reminds me of Nilsson in a weird way.
That's really fascinating. But however, that means we also have to talk about Lemon Crush, which is kind of, if it's a song, it exists. But also
Bat Dance? Okay, when I was looking at his discography, and I realized that fucking Bat Dance was one of the only 5 number 1s that he has had, I was like mad for like 2 hours. I was just like thinking about how
Vicky Vale.
stupid that was.
Stop the presses.
It's not even really a Prince. I don't know.
I mean, it's basically and I feel like it's not necessarily that Tim Burton's Batman was. I mean, it was an iconic film at the time, and at the moment, people were like, "Oh my God, this is the next generation of movie making." It inspired a lot. But the thing is that, like, the movie integrated the Prince tracks really well, because, like, oh look, there's the Joker playing Party Man on a boom, or like on a giant float, or playing this other song on a boombox. Like he's talking about, you gotta be fearful of the future. Like it's fully integrated. It's a fully integrated thing. Even as Prince is just kind of like, really, you listen to the album. Here's some songs. Like any of these songs, I'm sure they have existed for a long while. But much like Following Lovesexy, it's very middle of the road, inoffensive, very accessible Prince. It's not daring anything. It's not pushing the barriers, aside from how bad a song can be with Bat Dance. But like, it is just it's a solid album. It's not a great album. I don't think anyone's going to call it that. But it does what it needs to do and gets out. That's it. And you can't really do that. Although the fun trivia part of it is that Tim Burton initially, he wanted to have 2 soundtrack albums, basically. He wanted to have the dark side, then you want to have the light side, kind of like, the Joker and Batman. So that's why a lot of these songs are integrated by the Joker, because Prince did this part, but I guess, and there's some people that say it's rumor or whatever, but there's also this part where they say Michael Jackson was the one brought on board. They were like, hey, do you want to do all the songs for Batman? Do you want to do all the optimistic songs? And Michael Jackson somehow didn't agree to that. I don't know why. But, so it's just left to Prince's job.
I feel like it's pretty safe to put Batman there. I don't know, like, it's not...
Right, like, while it's not a terrible album, what else... I'm not seeing anything else where that I want to put below it. So, yeah, I think Batman...
We're gonna do it. There's not a lot more to talk about on that one. Yep.
Not really. It's like you said. It's pretty straightforward Prince for the most part.
It's it fits his contractual obligation.
Well, and the other thing is that it was a big deal because at the time, Under the Cherry Moon again fucking flopped, and Warner Brothers like, there's no way we're gonna give you money to do a movie again. He wanted to do a movie as soon as he puts out this soundtrack that goes multi-platinum, chart topping, whatever. They're like, okay, maybe we can give you money for a movie again. He's like, guys, I'm going to do a sequel to Graffiti Bridge. We're definitely going to give you
You
money
mean
to
a sequel
do...
to Purple Rain?
I mean, that's what I meant to say. Call it Graffiti Bridge. That's
Everybody's
what I meant to say.
looking for Graffiti Bridge. Oh yeah, are
Can
they?
I not? Can I nominate the next one?
Sure.
I want to go with For You, 1978. Because, and hear me out, it's not that I think it's bad.
Alright.
I like it. My thing with For You is that because it's the first Prince album that Prince ever made, and by the way, the first song Prince ever recorded, Soft and Wet, who the fuck records a song as complex as Soft and Wet for their first time ever? He had a job working in the studio, and then they said during his off time he could come in the studio and work on his album, which, by the way, maybe also his most crisply recorded, most highest quality recording that he's got on there.
Well, and he went. The thing is that like Warner Brothers, they brought these executives in because Chris Moon, this local producer, he's like, this kid's got talent. He learned everything from me. He can do it, and that's why he actually has the co-writing credit on Soft and Wet. And in order to get that record contract with Warner Brothers, they basically brought these executives in like, we need 5 hours of your time. And like, okay, so they're basically in this kind of room watching Prince, and he creates a song from scratch. He drums everything, mixed everything, and plays it back to them. I'm like, damn, let's give him some money. The budget for this album, he went over the budget by this album 4 times. And the thing is, like, I think he just got so in love with the sounds of it. He wanted it to sound perfect.
Well,
He
I
wanted
was
it to
reading
sound
that
like,
he like they did initial sessions. They did initial sessions for this album, and they were really like fun and loose. And then he got so nervous about putting out his first album that he re-recorded everything and layered so many times that it lost any like spontaneity that it had in the first place, and it became very calculated. And I think that really makes sense for what this album is, because all of the vocals are really heavily layered. But I think that this is, and he also very adamantly did not want Maurice White from Earth, Wind & Fire to produce this album, which I think is ironic because he really sounds like Earth, Wind & Fire a couple times. But on this record, what really connects with me is actually In Love. I think that's a really fun song, and it also, interestingly, every time I hear it, especially that opening synth riff, it reminds me of Frank Ocean. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
But this album for me, I mean, I like disco, and it's not quite disco, but it just like it just does it for me.
You stated actually one of the reasons why I'm nominated, and my main gripe why I put it down this low on here is that I feel like it lacks a lot of the elements that we would later find that defines a Prince album. It sounds like a lot of other artists. He sounds a lot like Earth, Wind & Fire, so there's more of his influences, and they're fine songs.
My Love Is Forever.
But I think a lot of these sound more of like, just like Prince doing a disco album, or trying to sound like his influences, than it sounds like just Prince.
I would agree with that. Although there are moments that kind of peek out a little bit, including the final song of the album, "I'm Yours." I mean it's almost. I mean, it's not necessarily that it's a rock song. It's almost kind of proggy a little bit. There's a hint of prog dashed over this.
You know what was fucking blew my mind though? But especially if a song is proggy and is technically proficient as "I'm Yours." Prince had only been playing guitar for 4 or 5 years at that point. He'd been playing piano since a kid, but he'd only been a guitar player for 4 years and wrote that.
Yeah.
And then
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta keep in mind, this kid, here's the thing, like...
and he was 17 when he made the album all by himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing, too, I want to point out about this is the fact that Prince has, and we're going to get into this, especially in the Happy Hour mini-sode, I assure you, Prince has one of the weirdest senses of humor you've ever discovered in your life. He has a bizarre sense of humor. But I think part of the reason is, and I mean this truly, is that he just does nothing else but music. That is just literally all he does. I mean, he's never held down like a regular job or anything else. Like, you know, like he tried directing movies, but all the movies he did the soundtracks for, like, literally from, like, you know, 15 till the day he died, it was all nothing but music. That's just the entire driving force. So when that's the only thing that you do with your life, like, it's weirdly defining in a certain way. And so that's why when I hear something like this, it's just like, these moments stick out. You almost want to like just kind of join him for the ride of like, you can have a personality, come on, you can do it, and he just doesn't exactly there. But we're going to talk about the self-titled album Prince much later because I think he absolutely did find his voice.
I will say it's
very
I'm glad that one was called Prince and not For You.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah,
Um,
and also For You too. Like he was very much like this kind of. It's the weirdest cover too. It's just
It's
looking at you.
and it's got like these faded street lights on there. But man, like it's got a lot of great songs. And like between like I'm a big fan of So Blue.
Yeah.
Just As Long As We're Together.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fine. It's just
And Crazy You kind of the slowed down acoustic one. Like it's fine. It's more interesting than it is great, but I wouldn't call it bad. I'd call it actually pretty good.
I'm okay with putting this album soon, but again, there's just one that really is worse for me, and again, I think this is going to be a little controversial. But I would put Graffiti Bridge before I'd put For You. And I say that not because it doesn't have some great songs on it, because I think Elephants and Flowers is like a really
Great psychedelic.
fun psychedelic. Yeah, that's like the best of his psychedelic side. And I also think that Joy and Repetition is one of the sexiest songs that he's ever
Absolutely.
recorded.
Song to fuck
The Question of You is one of my favorite solos of his. The way that he's just also recorded.
Really? I
Although
think that
the-
one's. I think that one gets into a little bit of the hokiness.
The back half, especially when he starts just adding in
Yeah.
random fucking instruments for the last 3 minutes.
And
it's
this
like,
one,
okay.
I'm not sure if this has agreed. I've also loved Tick Tick Bang. I think it's one of.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I
Really?
think that's a really out there kind of song, man.
Really?
It's really out there, but it's not.
I'm a big
sucks.
fan. I'm
Jon
a big
Harvey,
fan.
I'm telling you
It's
now.
dude, Tick Tick Bang
No,
is great.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say that it sucks. I'm gonna say that like I appreciate what it's
Okay.
trying to do, but it definitely doesn't connect with
So
me.
here's the thing. Okay, so Graffiti Bridge. Here's the reason why I wanted to have this as part of the thing. There, I feel like no one's saying it's a masterpiece. No one is going to sit there and say that. I think it is better than the reputation that it has. It is way better than the reputation that the Graffiti
I think
Big
it
project
falls
has.
apart in the back half.
I think that's potentially fair. I think most of the non-time features I don't give a shit about. Sorry, Tevin Campbell. Even Mavis Staples' Melody Cool is just... It's fine. The name is Melody Cool!
I think that's like a decent, fun funk number, but it doesn't save this record.
I find Thieves in the Temple to be one of the more hokier things on
Well,
there.
here's the thing.
Like,
I've had a complicated relationship because I hated that song when I first heard it. When I first watched it, I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is boring. And I feel like it was just like a gimme song, and it worked. It went top 10, unlike the rest of the songs of this album. But really, when we were watching the movie the other night, Taran pointed it out. He's just like, this is kind of his Michael Jackson moment. Visually, in the video, yes, Prince is like striking all these poses, being very dramatic, very post-Michael, but then you really listen to the song, it's not like deliberately like, this is my Michael Jackson song, but there's moments there where he's kind of like following along a little bit. He's kind of moving that line a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that no people haven't heard Elephants and Flowers, I think, is a travesty. And also, legitimately, they're not as good as the songs from Ice Cream Castle's era. But I will say, the time songs on here are also pretty good.
I really fucking dig Release It. Release It's like a really... the drums on Release It is fucking...
Yeah.
It's just banging.
Yeah.
Okay, I do.
I'll you know what, man? I'll give it to you. I think Graffiti Bridge is kind of maybe. I think they're pretty interchangeable
It's just
for me.
so bloated.
Yeah.
Bridges,
it is bloated,
there are
yeah.
way too many songs on. There are 16 songs on this album, and there should be 9.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
so, even though there are some really fun songs on here, I
hate the new Power Generation for the record.
Yeah, New Power Generation.
Power
Speaking of
Generation.
hokey,
Oh God.
that's definitely there. He was following the footsteps of the Jacksons and the change the world music.
Well, but more importantly, though, and I truly feel like this needs to be brought up, though, and the reason why we're doing Prince in the 80s and also not Prince in the 90s is because Prince in the 90s is this weird thing where he has the hardest time wrapping his head around hip-hop. Hip-hop is such a weird thing for him to kind of rationalize and embrace. He, has a weird tepid relationship
I was gonna save this for maybe the mini-so, but while we were talking about the Black Album, which, again, if I were to rank my own stuff, I really enjoy the Black Album. For me, it's actually somewhere in, the halfway point amongst those records.
You're
But one
alone
thing,
on that,
but one thing that's up there is that, there's, what's the second track on there? There's one where he's like dissing hip hop on there, and it's like the hokey.
Cindy C.
I know we've talked about a lot of hokey lines. Cindy C. That's like one of the most only times I've like actually just eye rolled at a song, because, and you want to say like why like it did so badly by the time it got released in '94, and it's because of this inability to wrap his head around hip hop, and I think that
and so what he did with Graffiti Bridge, he for the New Power Generation, his New Revolution band, he brought in Tony M, the rapper. But the thing is that the New Power Generation, I'm kind of jumping tangentially off your point, sorry, is that the Revolution were a band. It's not just that they can play songs, that even though like Wendy and Lisa are the only people that got like co-writing credit, guitarist, Dr. Fink, he kind of had some stuff here and there, but really, like, they brought him new music. They introduced him to things. They tried things. And you can hear that even though Parade's not great, the run of Purple Rain to Parade is this colorful...
Well, weren't they with him on 1999 too?
They were in part. Like,
I guess they weren't actually
on the record.
Well, but the first song that he recorded with them was Jack You Off.
But like legit though, it's still Prince, as we know with this. I
think Wendy. I was reading this thing where like Wendy was saying about how she was trying to like get Prince into hip hop earlier, and he was just like not having it. And then she said like she. Public Enemy had just released Fight the Power, and that was like dominating, and she was like, Prince, like, I think like you would actually like check, like, I think you might actually really like this one, and she finally got it to listen to it, and she said that she felt like the moment that he heard Fight the Power was when he knew that something was up and things were changing, and I think that if you look at that, that's around when things
forms a lot of.
That's when you get like something like where like Love Sexy comes in, or like when is it? When does Fight the Power? Is that 85? I thought it was 87.
Commenters leave a comment.
Anyway, so like he's like he just like I don't think every fully wrapped around until like the beginning of the 2000s.
But then the other thing though is that more to that point, while Graffiti Bridge has a lot of hip hop elements in it, a lot of sampling, a lot of drum breaks that sound sampling, even though I'm sure Prince played them. New Power Generation are hired guns. All they are here to do is play whatever Prince has recorded.
Right, and he added and fired people all the time throughout the various albums that were the New Power Generation.
Exactly.
So it was never a full thing. It was never the same as the Revolution. Yeah, even if they want you to be buried with your old ideas, that's it somehow just doesn't add up. But yeah, the thing is, Graffiti Bridge, it's really, you need to listen to it. You can talk. I like Love Machine. I gotta be honest there. Her vocal take on Love Machine.
Oh my God, Ingrid Chavez. Yeah.
Bad.
Oh, she is fucking terrible.
I cannot listen to it.
Remember, this is the role that Madonna was initially going to take before Prince handed her the script, because remember, they collaborated on the Like a Prayer album.
Yeah.
And then basically she looked at the script and said, quote, "This is shit," and refused to be in it. So we just found another fucking random ingenue, Ingrid Chavez.
Yeah, and Ingrid Chavez actually, I think, has a co-writing credit on Love Sexy.
Yeah.
Or maybe even on Sign of the Times.
Whatever.
She was a poet, and
she was in
was a spiritual leader for his life. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, and really, if you take out kind of the back half of that album, it's really, I would say it's one of the better. I would say it's better than Love Sexy.
Without a doubt.
Honestly, no, I would say Graffiti Bridge would definitely be a couple spots higher for me if not for the back half,
also
which is just such a slog.
Yeah, speaking of bad hip hop, that Tick Tick Bang for me feels positively atonal. Like, it is just noises and sounds and Prince kind of talking about stuff, but not really.
What do you mean you don't appreciate Prince's Death Grips phase?
Shockingly, no. I would go on there. Okay, but here. Okay,
sorry, you guys just don't get it.
Yeah, it's your damn fault. What do you mean that that's the show? You just have your drums on stage. You're not actually gonna come to the place and perform. That's the show. Hang up the call. That's what happened. Look for our Death Grips podcast on the Chartographers Happening Never. Anywho, but listen, I'm okay with Graffiti Bridge being here, but we have to put For You after
I'm
that.
okay with that.
Yeah,
I think
that's where we're
put Around the World in a Day after that.
Yes! I would actually put For You above Around the World.
I would.
No, I think Paisley Park and Raspberry Beret are too strong for me to put it below For You.
Let's see where we at. You want to do the? Do you want to read it off?
Well, no. I want to see. Are we going to put Around the World in a Day at number 7 or number 8 in terms of that? For You?
Well, I mean, yeah, like For You at 8. I'm cool with Around the World in a Day at 7.
Okay, in that.
I mean,
Wow, all
I'd
right.
personally probably put the self-titled before Around the World in a
That's
Day.
not happening in this house. I'm telling you
yeah,
right now, that is
I
not.
mean, it might be next for me, but it's not.
We'll talk about it. But hey, listen. Okay, guys, listen. We've been talking about Prince for a bit, and we are halfway through. In fact, here's what we got. Let me tell you about it. We have number 12, Parade. I'm actually weirdly surprised it's there, but not really at the same time. I just didn't know what was going to be at the bottom spot.
I forgot what it was. I mean, I'm not sure. If like Pitchfork recently reviewed all the issues, and it got I think it's like a 9.3 or
They
somewhere.
gave Parade a
9.3.
They're just
I'm
they
like-
just jizz over anything that critics are supposed to like.
And then they ranked Around the World in a Day lower, but that's kind of always been the case. It's
For whatever reason, critics love Parade. But again, we're listening to the shit in 2016, and it doesn't connect. Really, if you really want to argue the 100 seconds of I Wonder You as being some sort of masterpiece statement, by all means go ahead and then leave my area, because I'm going to go tick tick bang on you. So, number 12, we have Parade. Number 11, Love Sexy. Number 10, the Batman soundtrack. Number 9, Graffiti Bridge. Number 8, For You. Number 7, Around the World in a Day. And number 6, we're going to introduce in part 2. Guys, we've done it. We actually absolutely did it. We ranked 6. We're halfway through Prince in the 80s. I can't believe it, actually.
Yeah. I feel like it went so fast, but we haven't even talked about any of the albums that were...
like the groundbreaking ones, like these next few ones are like...
They've changed lives many times over, and I'm so excited about it. So guys, listen, in the meantime, before you listen to part 2, let me just first say thank you so much for listening to part 1 of our season finale. Taran, of course, always. Jon Harvey, thank you for being here. It is incredible. Leave your notes and comments on our Facebook page, Facebook the Chartographers. Leave a great review on iTunes, all that other stuff. Keep on listening. You know that we'll be. Catch you on the other side. Goodbye.